I'm Jenny Burman. Bonsoir à tous. I'd like to make an argument about the peculiar character of Montreal's cultural diversity. I like models, so I'll ask, what proposed and operational models of cultural diversity are we working with? I also like problems, so I'll ask, what's wrong with them? Cultural policymakers, creative city types, Tourisme Montréal strategists, and the people who worked with UNESCO to get our City of Design status would like to call Montreal a cosmopolitan city. I don't think it is. Politicians like Jean Charest and public intellectuals like Charles Taylor, Gérard Bouchard, and his 3 co-signatories of the manifesto in favor of interculturalism, which was published in La Presse about a year ago, would like to call Montreal an intercultural city. I don't think it is. Parti Québécois critic Louise Baudouin, the members of the Quebec Council on the Status of Women who campaigned against Muslim women's rights to wear the hijab in public workplaces, the 69 new language officers at the Office Québécois de la Langue Française, and the people at Mouvement Montréal Français who organized the J'aime ma langue dans ta bouche, I'd like to have my tongue/language in your mouth, 12-hour concert and protest last month, would like to call Montreal anything but a multicultural city. I think it is, but accidentally so. It's a multicultural city in spite of itself, one that can't live out the possibility presented by its diversity, because to do that would, the argument goes, threaten laïcité, but more importantly, threaten French. A successful multicultural city needs to be a multilingual city. In other words, no one gets to have their mother tongue in everyone's mouth, no matter how much they like it. I'm an academic, and academics love to split hairs and obsess over terminology. But really, do these terms make much difference? I think that models of cultural diversity matter because we develop them and work toward their actualization by having multilateral dialogues about the kind of city we want to live in, and then by lobbying for the structural changes necessary to make that possible. For instance, strong equity measures that address un- and underemployment among non-white Montrealers. Consider the cosmopolitan city. If cosmopolitan encompassed an ethics of relating to the stranger, as it did in the development of the International Cities of Refuge Network, which PEN International helped to establish, if it entailed a cosmopolitics, then yes, what a goal. But instead, what one sees in cultural policy discourses is more of a surface-level touristic cosmopolitanism, a branding effort, rather than a vision of how we might live well and equitably here together. Consider the intercultural city. If this were possible in the terms in which Bouchard and Taylor describe it in their 2008 Reasonable Accommodation Report, the one gathering dust in Quebec City, then yes, what a goal. They write that interculturalism at once protects French and, quote, cultivates a pluralistic orientation that is highly sensitive to the protection of rights, end quote, and that, quote, constant interaction between citizens of different origin leads to the development of a new identity and a new culture, end quote. But what interculturalism permits in practice is the micromanagement of public interactions, the obsession with laïcité, down to Bill 94's insistence on seeing the mouth that is speaking French behind the niqab, and anti-immigrant backlash politics. As for the multicultural city, well, I find myself in a strange situation here as someone who writes critically about multiculturalism and has written favorably about Toronto as a diasporic city, which is in many ways post-multicultural. But whatever multiculturalism is, it's not as bad as interculturalism in practice, if not in definition, because at least it enables a degree of individual and community autonomy with regard to the practice of cultural difference. Autonomy, power sharing, and organic cultural shifts are critical. They pave the way for a multi-general transformation of the public sphere. That's how we'll get a climate that makes unthinkable the spectacle of white youth in blackface, which we've seen twice in Montreal in the last 7 months, but makes thinkable a less anxious and more diverse political culture. My friends living elsewhere in Canada who grow misty-eyed at the mere mention of Montreal, so distracted by fantasy that they're unable to utter anything but, I love Montreal, would like to think of Montreal as a city that's done it right. Without destroying their plateau, Bixi, wine in the park, je ne sais quoi image of Montreal, I'll just say this in closing. The document, Montreal Cultural Metropolis, which lays out the city's cultural development policy until 2015, asks this question in its introduction, quote, "Tremendous creativity, diversity, openness, effervescence. Is there a better way to describe Montreal's cultural identity and vitality?" End quote. Well, maybe there is. It's worth talking about. Thank you.